Please let's do that. Okay. Hello. But no tech for you now. No tech for. But I know what I say. No tech for you now. No tech. No tech. No tech association. No tech association. Because my head told us your failure is our. When my head told us your failure is our success. And no tech association. Okay. Diego. Mind to Ogas, Momra, mindful. Oh, Onkwa. Why am I now? Mind to Ogas. Hey, sorry, Presto. Hey, let's go president no Onkwa. So please, as I said, the next election is ongoing. It will end in no time. So please, if there's next member, kindly go there and cast your vote. So that next year you can tell them what you have to tell them. But if you don't vote, you will have yourself in there. Also, First Bank is here giving services to students. Go there and create account, save services for so that after school you have something for yourself. Rand Technology is also there giving services to students. If you have any faulty laptop, any faulty phone, which is due repairs, can you take it there? Thank you. Go back, that's why you your answer. I say, are you here? See, I am us. I have Superzonas. Okay, go back, the voice.
I think Opas will be a mixed school. It's a mixed school. I'm sure maybe it's only the girls that are here.
Let me clap mine. That's right. Now, to tell you how beautiful I am, now stop when you look right there. Hello. Hi. The stage is set. The time is almost up. Before I resume my speech, let me give shout out. Please, if you are not called here to sing your anthem, forgive me. Let me clap for you. So Wale Senior High School students here, Wale all the way from the SRC. More time. We have Saint Augustine. Additional college. Amoy. Adiso. Hey, Mr. School of Hygiene, School of Hygiene. Don't let me give you that shot. Azim girls. Adisco. The man entering is from Adisco. The man entering, the president of. And you know, the man is just here. He is the president for the National Union. He's the president for the United Nations Youth Association Ghana. United Nations Youth Association Ghana. WH Kobina. Adumadi. I thought you didn't take our mess in the last one. Now this go please clear by this student here. And this student. And this student. Oh, granted. Your hand is here. We have KSDS, Diamonds. This is not okay. Then we have coaches, Assistant, Mount Sinai, Ola Girls, Abuso, Prepper College, Abuso Methodist, Imprayaso, Adesso Presby, Atenot, and Tech. Then Nortec students, we have Sunrise Christian College, Boga Senior, then Foley School here. I come as Suit Academy. So please, I stand here and I do appreciate you all for coming. Hello. Those of us who do not have high school attached here, please, next year, let's make sure we bring them so that we make the event successful. It's time for dates. As I said, this year, is it Team SSD or Team SNES? Let me put the energy. Team SSD or Team SNES? Something is about to happen. Tell your friend, something is about to happen. Something is about to happen. Yes, so the stage is set and I'll leave the microphone behind for the next students to take over. Please, as I said, we have our movie night today from 7 p.m. The contract is continues tomorrow. The night of talent and passing rate, please passing rate. Come and display what you have. And the rest of you won't look good. Then Friday is the sports, and then night, old school night and jam. I won't talk about Saturday. Let's proceed.
We are going to take a few minutes of your time to have a short debate between the two schools in the university, that is SSD and SNES. And I pray that you are going to cooperate with us so that we will do it quickly so that you can continue with your program for today. We are going to call on Miss Emilia Mesa to give us a prayer, open prayer. A short one, of course.
Please let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for this moment. We pray for making everything we are about to do into your hand, that you will take absolute control and grant us success at the end. Amen.
Okay, let us welcome our Dean of Students in the person of Dr. Mrs. Daniela Sadika. Daniela Sadika to give us the chairperson's remarks.
Thank you very much. And so as part of our SRC week celebration, and as mandated by our council chair, that we should engage students on the theme of the commencement lecture, we decided to organize a debate. The topic of the debate is the transition to clean energy feasible without compromising economic growth? we will need judges to determine for us who deserves to win and who deserves to place second. And so I'll invite the SSD judge, the rep judge from SSD, Dr. Philipsia Eyi. Sorry. The judge rep from SNES, Dr. Philipsia Eyi, a senior lecturer. Oh, that's for her. She's the head of reading. She's not a small woman. The SSD judge rep is also a senior lecturer by name, Dr. Kweku Edu. Let's welcome him with a clap. Our third rep, we decided that we'll choose a third one on neutral grounds. And so we decided on Mr. Bafo Osea Koto, Senior Assistant Registrar, Census Division. Let's clap on him. And so those who stand for the motion, the affirmative team is the SSD team, represented by Ms. Pekwela Clarkson Yako. Mr. Richard Paddy. I think we should give it to them to introduce themselves.
Hello.
I'm Priscilla Akpene Aputo from SNES.
I am Gabriel from SNES.
I'm Justin. My name is Pastor Edhard.
My name is Petrola Nyako Clark.
I'm Richard, the father student from school.
We now invite the timekeeper to take his seat. It's in the person of Mr. Kofi Joel Nati. Now we are going to establish the lay-down rules for all the contestants to be aware. Now the debate will consist of two teams, those in preposition and those in opposition. Now the speaking time, opening statement, each team opening speaker, first debater has 5 minutes to introduce their position and outline and key arguments and set the stage for their case, aiming to engage and persuade the audience. Presentation and argument. The supporting speaker, that the second debater, has 15 minutes to present his arguments, using evidence and reasoning to convincingly support their team's stance. In directly counter argument, highlighting weaknesses and reinforcing their own terms of position. Then closing remarks. The closing remark will take 5 minutes to summarize the key points, address remaining issues, and make a compelling final argument to solidify their terms. These are the ground rules of the debate. We continue, so we start. Now we invite those who are going to give the opening statement. That is the first debater. Who is the first debater for next? Yeah. Next.
Thank you very much. At this stage, it's important that we make you aware, especially for the competing sites, of the ground rules and basis for marking. We will assess you on 4 main points, on 4 main criteria. One, to assess you on the organization of your presentation. That's this clarity. How you present your main arguments and the responses outlined. We expect that it should be in a clear and organized. Number 2, we made an amendment here. We will assess you based on how factual argument is. So you can't come and tell us Ghana gained independence in 1942. Get the point. We will assess you based on the correctitude of the statement that you made. And then we also, it's a debate, so there will be room for rebuttals and cross-examination. We assess you on your ability and how you're able to dissect the argument of your opponents. And then lastly, for those of you and for those of us who have done debates for a while, we appreciate that presentation, or to be said, style is as important as substance. So we assess you on tone of voice, clarity of expression, precision of arguments, and then ability to engage the audience.
Hello.
For all these, you will then, after that, strike the average of the mark between all the 3 judges and present to you the winner. We wish you the best. Thank you. Right, thank you very much. So, Madam Chairman, with your permission, we are happy to invite the main speaker for the affirmative side. Oh yes, sorry. I'm sure you will be doing the timelines, so thank you, it is an essential part. And so, for time, so to keep the time for us, we have Mr. Kofi Joel Tati, staff of the Office of the Provider. Joel, let them see. Can you sound the time, the alarm for us? Louder, please. Louder. I think you need a mic for that. Yeah, I think that is better. So, Madam, please introduce yourself. Thank you.
My name is Priscilla Clarkson.
Sorry, yes.
Please, I want to ask you, before time passes, will there be a warning? At least maybe 2 minutes before time ends.
The rules are clear. He said debaters must conclude their remarks immediately when the final bell rings. So if the judges, by their discretion, think they want you to conclude your point, I think it's fine. But yes, you understand that the time the bell rings, time is up. So you should be rounding up. Kindly proceed, madam. Thank you for your patience.
This is to say that renewable energy, transitioning to renewable energy would require an initial investment. But once it's done, it will increase and double-fold. Honorable Chairperson, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, distinguished guests, co-debaters, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you all. I am Petuela Clarkson, a proud student of the School of Sustainable Development. The chair, the motion before this address house today is in, and I quote, is the transition to renewable energy feasible without compromising economic growth, unquote. And I, the principal speaker, is speaking for the motion. The chair, before I proceed to my argument, allow me to elucidate some key terms in the motion and the motion as a whole, and analyze the motion critically for all and sundry. As and when needed, claims and evidence would be tendered in to back our claims. The chair, transitioning according to the Oxford Dictionary, is switching from one state to another in context of the motion, switching from renewable energy from fossil fuel to renewable energy. The United Nations Organization defines renewable energy as energy obtained from natural sources such as hydropower, wind, geothermal energy, among others. Feasible, according to the Cambridge Dictionary, is defined as being able to achieve or dealt with successfully. The chair, in context with the motion, the phrase without compromising economic growth will mean without sacrificing or giving up our economic growth. Economic growth is perceived to be the general increase in the production of all goods and services in the country's economy. However, it entitles economic development, which is the improved standard of living of the people, technological advancement, and innovation. The diverse aspect highlights that economic growth is a multifaceted concept that compromises not just quantitative measures, but also qualitative improvements in the society, which the motion before the House today falls under. The chair, the motion before the House today seeks to find out whether or not switching to renewable energy can be achieved successfully without having to give up the aforementioned points. The chair, according to the International Energy Agency report, in 1980, Costa Rica made a conscious effort to switch to renewable energy, primarily hydropower. By 2019, Costa Rica has achieved 98% of their energy coming from renewable sources and 52% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. Transitions have a positive effect on Costa Rica's economy. You are wondering how? Yes, it increased energy security, it created jobs, it enhanced global reputation. Just to mention a few, the chair, the House. Now let's scale it down to our beloved country, Ghana, where in 1965, Ghana's hydropower scheme, specifically the Akosombo Dam, was completed. The Akosombo Dam had a significant impact on Ghana's economy. It increased energy supply, people, and enhanced tourism, which brought our country recognition. Not to even talk about Ghana supplying its renewable energy to nearby countries, strengthening foreign exchange, hereby shooting the per GDP capita of the country. The chair, the House, take a look. In 2020, the article was published by Ghana Web concerning the Akosombo Dam entitled Blessing or a Curse, clearly outlines that in 1960, which is the pre-renewable energy era, GDP per capita was $141. Then in 1970, renewable energy era, GDP per capita increased to $251. Then in 1980, it shot up again to $343. The chair, the house, we are not convinced enough, aren't we convinced enough that transitioning to renewable energy will strengthen our country's economy? Yet still, our opponents dare to oppose. I rest my case.
Yes, the opening statement from the podium.
The chair, impartial panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, distinguished guests, fellow co-debaters, students, ladies and gentlemen, representing the School of Natural and Environmental Sciences, I am Priscilla Abuto, the first speaker, speaking against the motion, in quote, is transition to clean energy feasible without compromising the Before I proceed, permit me to explain the key word in the motion. One major key word is transition. Transitioning from Collins offline dictionary explains transition as the moving away from one thing to the other. Another major key word is clean energy. According to Merriam-Webster online dictionary, it defines clean energy as energy that is being derived from renewable sources without any environmental debt. Another major key word is feasible. From Cambridge Online Dictionary, feasible is being defined, it refers to the possibility of something to be defined or achieved. Also, compromising, according to the Merriam-Webster Online Dictionary, is the practice of reducing or effecting or reputation of something. From www.myjudgeonline.com, economic growth is being defined as the increase in the monetary value of goods and services per a country. The Church House, considering the definitions of the various technologies in the motion, what the motion is positioning is that the change to clean energy, the change to zero emission sources of energy is possible without jeopardizing the monetary values of goods and services in the economy. Certainly not, no way. Hence, my team and I therefore stand before this noble house to argue the fact that the transition to clean energy will jeopardize or will compromise our economic growth. Therefore, my team and I would support our stance with these few points. Point number 1, high initial cost. Point number 2, energy reliability and economic distraction. Point number 3, financing debt implication or developing economies. Point number 4, technology and skills gaps. Point number 5, long-term sustainability challenge. The Church House, I have listed these few points. My principal speaker will come and throw more light on this. Having said all this, I believe that by the time we finish, all of you will understand and buy into our ideas, the reason why we are against the motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With all respect, please, if you intend to support someone or applaud them for whatever they said or done, kindly wait till they are over. Because you are interrupting their flow of thought, you are taking away time from them, and we can't even hear them when you shout. Please, if you want to help, unless you are doing it against them, which you also do not accept. So please let them finish whatever they want to say. Thank you. We can now invite the main speaker for the affirmative.
Yeah, she's probably swaying some of you over with a sweet voice, but sometimes the baddest advice comes from the sweetest of voices. You cannot cancel me. You know, one thing that's for sure in this world is that even if we establish the fact that heaven is real and is the best place to be, we'll still come across someone who will dispute that fact. If we all decide to go the easiest way to achieve a goal, someone will still want to suffer to reach that same goal. And that's mind-boggling. And as a matter of fact, we have a typical example of such people right here on the loose, with the sole purpose of leading SRC. Mr. Chairman, panel of judges, timekeeper, distinguished guests, fellow debaters, fellow students, ladies and gentlemen, opportunity of say, my name is Paddy Richard, and I'm a 400 student from the School of Sustainable Development. And as the first supporting speaker for the motion, which was explicitly introduced by my principal speaker, allow me to walk you all down the path of righteousness. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, to begin with, the transition to clean energy in itself increases economic growth. A report by the International Energy Agency states that in 2023, clean or renewable energy contributed about $320 billion to the global economy, representing 10% of global growth in GDP. And this is as a result of investments made in clean energy manufacturing, investments made in the deployment of clean electricity generation, such as wind power, solar, hydropower, you name them, and also the sales of electric cars and heat pumps. Now, these investments in clean energy technologies increase productivity with increased efficiency in the production of more goods and services, leading to higher output and growth in GDP. And Exhibit 1 here shows us evidence to the claims I am making, which we presented to the panel of judges. Furthermore, I would like to emphasize that jobs are of great importance to the growth of every economy. And as one of the ultimate benefits, the transition to clean energy creates jobs and increases employment rates, contributing towards the achievement of Sustainable Development Goal 8, which is decent to economic growth. The 10th edition of the Renewable Energy Agency series, produced in collaboration with the International Labour Organization in 2023, estimates at least 13.7 million jobs in renewable energy employment globally. And with an increase in employment rates, individuals are able to earn themselves some income to better their livelihoods. They are also able to contribute to developmental projects as they pay taxes, allowing for the growth of the economy in which they find themselves. Now, I believe a few of you are thinking that transitioning to clean energy will displace some jobs that involve the use of non-renewable energy. But let me ask you this. Would you rather have abundant jobs that in the end will cause you to spend your earnings on treating diseases? Would you? And that takes us to the next point, reduction in healthcare costs. We can all attest to the fact that the greenhouse gases emitted from the use of non-renewable energy sources pollutes the air, the soils, and even the water bodies, and comes along with some health complications. Now, when this happens, a lot of money will have to be invested in the treatment of diseases, instead of investing into developmental projects. And the affected individuals are also incapacitated, making them unable to engage in productive activities. That leads to the growth of the economy. However, transitioning to renewable energy or the use of clean energy prevents pollution and the resultant infections that comes along with it, ensuring the good health and well-being of the people and contributing towards Sustainable Development Goal 3. Funds are thereby invested into developmental projects rather than in treating diseases. In addition, transitioning to clean energy increases competitiveness, which also fosters higher output. As a manufacturer or a producer, there is no way you want someone to get more market than you do. And as climate change continues to pose a threat to mankind, all countries are expected to contribute to no greenhouse gas, leading to contributing towards the reduction in emission of gases. And then this forces manufacturers or producers to invest more in clean energy technologies and make more of such products to enter the market. Now, when this kind of competition between manufacturers causes them to bring out their best, and it increases high productivity, leading to higher output and growth in the economy. To end this, the transition to clean energy also reduces energy costs and makes energy affordable, contributing towards the Sustainable Development Goal 7, which is affordable and clean energy. This reduction in energy costs allows for money to be invested into other projects that leads to economic development. And if you followed me thus far, you realize I've kept on emphasizing on how money can be saved and invested into other projects that lead to economic growth. And development economists will agree with me if I say this. As Professor Arthur Lewis, who was once Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's economic advisor back in the day, reminds us that countries whose citizens think it is safe to save and invest at home grows the fastest. Reports from the International Energy Agency shows that almost 2/3 of renewable power added in 2021 had lower energy costs than the cheapest coal-fired options in G20 countries, and has saved about $55 billion from generating global energy resources in 2022. And Francisco Lacamera, the Director General of the International Renewable Energy Agency, said, and I quote, 2022 is a stark example of just how economically viable new renewable power generation has become. Renewable power frees economies from volatile fossil fuel prices and curbs energy costs and enhances market resilience. To the House, do not be deceived. The shift to clean energy is the best option that any economy can consider. And so on this note, Mr. Chairman, I believe it is quite clear that the transition to clean energy is not only feasible, but also beneficial for the economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Richard. Mr. Patti, thank you very much. So then we invite the main speaker for the opposing team. Thank you.
To the ever-wise precious panel of judges and average people, fellow students, ladies and gentlemen, good day. Representing the School of Natural and Environmental Science in the University of Environment and Sustainable Development, I am Justice Jaji. The second speaker against the motion in our quote is the transition to clean energy feasible without compromising economic growth. The chair, ladies and gentlemen, as said earlier by my first speaker, we argue that the transition to clean energy is a noble goal. However, it cannot be achieved without compromising the economic growth. And that is why I call upon all of you to rally behind me as we delve into points that my first speaker has mentioned. Point 1. We argue that the transition to clean energy will require high initial costs. The chair, ladies and gentlemen, new infrastructure, technology, and training. These costs are significant to strengthen public budgets and private investments. Ladies and gentlemen, these costs are significant and can strain public investment and private investments. According to a report by the International Energy Agency, achieving net zero by 2050 will require an amount of $5 trillion USD, which is equal to 79,968 billion Ghana cedis, which is also equivalent to 799 quadrillion, 680 trillion, 731,500 all Ghana currency. looking at developing countries like Ghana, which already has a GDP, that gross domestic product of approximately 72 billion Ghana cedis. That's in Ghana cedis, that will amount to 1.149336 trillion Ghana cedis. Do you think we can invest that amount just to transition to clean energy? It is never possible. That's why we come in here to argue that while the transition to clean energy is a noble goal, it cannot be achieved without compromising the economic growth. In a report by Dr. Achiampong, a senior fellow of Imani Center for Policy and Education, Ghana will need to invest around 562 billion, around 562 billion US dollars. That is almost 8 times Ghana's GDP in 2022, which is 73 US dollars, but now approximately 72 US dollars. And I've already mentioned that value. So if you multiply this 8 times, we are saying the GDP will be multiplied 8 times, which will amount to the 568, which will amount to the 500 and... I'll continue. I'm ready to cut in order to do this thing. Ghana will need to invest around 568 billion in order to transition to clean energy by 2017, and that should be at 2030. We should already achieve about 50 to 45% cut down of that. My people, do you think Ghana can transition to that? Now, reported by the Bank of Ghana, in their summary, Ghana already owes a debt of 742 billion. This amount, we should go for further borrowing. Can we? Ghana doesn't have what it takes to do what? We need to start what we call clean energy. Well, our second point, we argue that the transition to clean energy will compromise economic growth because it will channel funds from critical sectors. Ladies and gentlemen, the motion before the House is the transition to clean energy feasible without compromising economic growth. Our stand here is about the compromise, but I think my colleagues here, or my opponents, they were just braggadocious about the importance of clean energy. They are not saying that clean energy is not a noble goal. It is, but for us to achieve it, something must go inside. And even for us to achieve that, Ghana doesn't have it. So I'm saying, if we are able to go or we want to go, it will channel funds from critical sectors. So let me ask you, my opponent, I'm coming in. The critical sectors I'm considering here, let's take for example, healthcare, education, agriculture, and new infrastructure development. Over here, if things were to be better, we would have been enjoying. So let me ask you, for example, the agriculture sector contributes 54% to Ghana's GDP and also accounts for over 40% of Ghana's export, while at the same time providing over 90% of all our food needs in the country. So let me ask, if we want to transition at the expense of this cost, what will we need? What will it eat? My opponent here mentioned clearly that the SDG goal number 7 is their stand. I'm asking, in JHS and SHS, according to the master's school, what do they say? They say we have to go in for the basic or fundamental needs first. And food is one. That is why the SDG goal number 2. The SDG goal number 2 is zero hunger. So if we divert funds from critical sectors like agriculture, we'll go hand in our opponent. You want to ride a solar car and I see red hunger. The transition to clean energy will lead to job displacement and economic disruption. Ladies and gentlemen, the transition to clean energy will lead to the decline of industries that are reliant on fossil fuel, and this will result in job losses and economic disruption. Let me tell you, globally, the fossil fuel sector employs over millions of people. Let me tell you, for example, in the United Nations alone, the coal industry alone employed over 50,000 workers in 2021. If we come to Africa here, the oil and gas sector is a significant player. With Nigeria alone, it having over 100,000 jobs and workers, which contributes 9% to their GDP. In Ghana, our own home here, the oil and gas sector contributes about 5% to our GDP, and it's also a good source of employment. My opponent over here mentioned that there will be jobs, green jobs, right? or you couldn't mention it. My own point is, those jobs that you are talking about, let me ask you, would you like to transition there handling? Would you definitely not want to? You also argue in our point that there will be high cost of transitioning to new workers. The shift in clean energy necessitates a skilled workforce capable of managing and maintaining renewable energy systems. This means that in Ghana here, we don't even have the skilled personnel to undertake these facilities if we want to transition. Already I've said that we don't have money to go, but even if we have been able to transition, we don't have the skilled personnel to install such infrastructures for it. For example, the Society for Human Resource Management in 2016 reported that the average cost of onboarding a new employer is approximately $4,200 US. My point, do you know how much it amounts to in Ghana? I'll tell you. That's approximately 67,173 Ghana cedis, with some business spending up to $20,000 US, which is also given as an equivalent price in Ghana cedis, 319,872. This does for training just the worker, one worker. You think you can transition? We don't. In our fifth point, we also agree that there will be energy reliability and infrastructure challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, renewable energy sources such as solar and wind rely as sporadic because they rely on what? Wind, the wind we are relying on, and the solar, they are intermittent. And this intermittency is a major challenge to industries that need consistent energy supply in order to carry out their day-in, day-out activities or operations. Because if you look at the solar system, let me ask you, even in UESD, the time that these municipals suffered crisis with the electricity company of Ghana, were these solar panels able to survive this? They were not. You see, that is our point of argument. Imagine if UESD were to be a Unilever company or a greater company that is manufacturing some vital goods. Let's forget that the academia sector goods for our consumption. And then they need consistent power to run their production. Yet we want to go in for this solar, wind turbines. Do you think they can? If there is inconsistency, they cannot run. Can they? They can't. When we were in crisis here, what did we do? We went for fossil fuels. For example, diesel to fuel these generators. In our sixth point, we are also arguing that financing and debt implications will be on developing economies. Ladies and gentlemen, regarding the aforementioned high cost, that's we mentioned the initial high cost of implementing or transitioning to clean energy. So if we want to focus our attention back to that, it means that in order to transition, since Ghana doesn't have, developing countries doesn't have, even US is in them. So if you want to transition to clean energy, it means you must go for money from other countries that can support you. So let me ask you, if you go to borrow, it means you are increasing the debt burdens of the nation. For example, the International Monetary Fund reports that Ghana's debt to GDP ratio is approximately 83.6%, which means that it's considerably too high. It's considerably too high. So why do you think we can go for much money? We don't, and we cannot. Moreover, the dependence on international financial institutions and private investors will expose developing countries to external economic shock and also unfavorable lending terms. For example, you don't have money or you don't have what you need. If you come to me, I give you my things. So since you don't need them, you don't have them, you have to comply. By complying, you are compromising. And the compromise is our point here in the motion. The motion is the transition to clean energy feasible without compromising economic. My opponents are only considering how feasible it can be. We are talking about its effect, its adverse impact on the growth of the economy. In our seventh point, we are also arguing that in order to transition, it's still not possible because the transition will lead to higher energy costs. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just give a classical example. In UESD or Somania or Accra, let's consider a Kobe seller who doesn't have enough money to attend or to be able to get these solar panels or these photovoltaic power sources, nuclear and whatever for the clean energy. So all I'm talking about clean energy sources. Let's ask, can that person cook for you to eat? Someone who cooks for us. Let's imagine For the Gobesara to be able to afford that, it means he or she has to invest more in order to buy these stuff so that they can cook. But the question is, if they cook, how much would that food be? How much would that food be? Imagine my opponent. Let me ask you, would you like to go and we don't need to transition right now. First things first. Maslow's theory of hierarchy says, first things first. The SDG goal 2 says what? Zero hunger. Let's not transition to clean energy at the expense of our tummy, at the expense of all the critical sectors we have running. There are already people, the health, education, agriculture, infrastructure. See, the development we need here. See, we have school blocks that we not failing. In our 8th point, we also agree that there will be technological and skill limitations. The developing countries often face technological and skill gaps that hinder the efficient adoption of clean energy. So in this case, since we don't have skilled personnel, it is a great gap for us to even think of transition because it requires what? Transitioning will require what? New skill sets and training of what? People that can work there. So if we can't train them, they don't also have skills, meaning they can't move. But if we want them, many money must be spent on them in order to move. In our 9th point, we also agree that there will be stranded assets in order to when we try to transition toward these clean energy sources. For example, the cars we have around, most of the cars in Ghana are using of diesel and natural gas. How do you call it? Petrol. So let me ask you, for example, the jeans car, the business car, the registrar's car, all the cars we have here, and even the oil that we have been able to discover in Ghana is giving us a little percentage. It's even better. So what I'm saying is, if we neglect all these things at the expense of transitioning, where will they be? They become stranded assets. Imagine the V8 that you see this year riding every day. The engine is very expensive. It's around 4 billion Ghana cedis. Can they afford it? We can't. They are mentioning this price in the old currency. So if we transition, do you think we would like to buy a new car? Then now you have to go and buy a new engine because you can't use that car. It's impossible. So fellow Ghanaians here, in conclusion, we are saying that while the transition to clean energy is a critical goal for mitigating climate change, it is not feasible without compromising economic growth because
Thank you very
much. Taking note that every speaker has an allotted time. So till you hear the time speaker, the timekeeper ring the bell, it simply means the person's time is not up. You don't need to shout to the person that time is up. It is to his benefit if he speaks beyond the time. So please allow, we will be done very soon. Right, thank you. So I think it's time. Yes, we invite the proponents to give you a rebuttal. Proponents, affirmative. That's what proponents.
Distinguished judges, respected opponents, college students, ladies and gentlemen, as I take the stage today, I ask you to consider the words of former US President John F. Kennedy, who once said, the problems of the world cannot be solved by skeptics or cynics whose horizons are limited by obvious realities. We need men who can dream of things that never were and ask, why not? Today, I, Pastor Edhard, a level 200 student from Sustainable Development, stand before you to say that the transition to renewable energy is not just a dream, it is a reality that will follow before our eyes. Our opponents have made a compelling point, and according to the book of Proverbs chapter 18 verse 17, the first to always present his case is always seems to be right unless another one comes out and then questions him, and that's what I'm here to do today. Before diving into the heart of my argument, let's first address some of the concerns raised by our esteemed opponents. They painted a picture of economic catastrophe, emphasizing the cost and distraction to renewable shift. While they are concerned with some water, they are largely narrow-minded. And I repeat, they are largely narrow-minded. Ladies and gentlemen, according to the International Renewable Energy Agency, renewable energy has created over 12.7 million jobs globally. That's for 2022. These are not just numbers. They represent livelihoods. They represent economic growth and the promise of a better future. Meanwhile, the World Economic Forum reports that the global renewable energy market is projected to reach $1.1 trillion by 2027. This is not an industry in decline. It is a booming sector driving innovation and economic prosperity. Moreover, a 2020 report by the International Energy Agency highlighted that solar power is now the cheapest source of electricity in history. This is a clear indication that the economic tide is turning, making renewable energy not just an environmentally sound choice, but a financially prudent one as well. So I ask you, if the facts are this clear, why should we be content with the status quo? Why should we be clinging to an outdated energy model when the future, both economically and environmentally, demands something more? As I proceed, I'll demonstrate how the transition to renewable energy is not only feasible, but it's the most strategic choice we can make for sustained economic growth and a prosperous future for all. Honorable judges, before I proceed, can you give me some few minutes to enlighten my dear opponents and the whole house some real-life scenarios that will shed light on the necessity and inevitability of energy transition? Honorable members, do you all know that before the adoption of fossil fuel in 18th century and in the early 19th century, what people or what humanity depended on was power from humans, power from wind, power from the hydroelectricity. But the question is, before the transition to fossil fuel, what happened to those people? Because we know that during that period, most people depend on those ones. We have economies, we have corporations, we have countries which is heavily dependent on those things or who have efficacy of those things. So now, during that transition period, what happened to them? If my opponents are here today to say that if we transition to renewable energy, there will be hunger. The question is, what happened to those people before if they were able to transition to renewable energy? Honorable members, the sitting among here today is a very gentle and honorable members, there is among us today a distinguished lecturer and a lead researcher in our reputable university who once aspired to build a career in the petroleum industry. This individual has spent 4 good years of his time learning courses in the petroleum industry. But what happened? After he finished his courses, he realized that the demand for professionals in that field were no more. But instead of that person to extend, he therefore shifted his studies to renewable energy. And guess what happened? Today, as I'm speaking now, he's a researcher, he's a model, he's teaching, and his profession is not only limited to academics. So now, the question is, if a human being that is not subjected to which is not subjected to experiment, is able to transition or is able to shift his focus from that field to that side. How come technology, which is subjected to control experiment, cannot be shifted? What we are talking about here, the topic before the house is transition to renewable energy, feasible without compromising economic growth. And let me tell you, we are not limiting it to only Ghana. This is a general topic. So you cannot say that transition to renewable energy won't be feasible because it will bring about some hunger. That's never true. Honorable judges, let's now attention to the immense economic growth opportunity presented by renewable energy. The transition to renewable energy is not about replacing fossil fuel, it's about unlocking a new era of innovation, job creation, and sustainable development. As I mentioned earlier, the renewable energy sector has already created over 12.7 million jobs. These jobs come from various sectors, including manufacturing, installation, maintenance, and research and development. In contrast, fossil fuel industry, while historically significant, is experiencing a decline in job opportunities due to automation, market shift. The rapid decline in the cost of solar and wind energy by 85% and 56% respectively from 2010 to 2020, according to the International Energy Agency, is a testament to the power of innovation. To add to, ladies and gentlemen, transitioning to renewable energy also offers a unique opportunity for economic diversification and resilience. Take the example of the United Arab Emirates, a nation historically reliant on exports. Now, investing billions in renewable energy projects, such as the Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum Solar Park. It's no wonder Ghana has experienced severe power crisis, popularly known as Jukso, in 2012, 2014, and 2015 because of what? Disruption in gas supply for Nigeria, technical issues with the West African gas pipeline, and payment dispute with Nigeria respectfully. And we attested to the fact that during that period there were a lot of economic downturns in the country. Production was not effective again. So now, if Ghana is relying on fossil fuel or non-renewable energy sources, is suffering from that, how are we going to move? Or how is the economy going to develop without compromising our economic growth? Definitely no. So, ladies and gentlemen, the long-term economic benefits of transitioning to renewable energy are profound. While our opponents will focus on the short-term cost, they overlook the fact that renewable energy offers unparalleled environmental and economic advantages that will drive prosperity for generations to come. Clean energy reduces the health costs associated with air pollution, which the World Health Organization estimates to be responsible for 7 million premature deaths per year. Let's imagine if 7 million premature deaths, people who are not supposed to die, are dying because of the use of fossil fuel. How are we going to have economic growth if people are dying? By shifting to renewables, we can significantly reduce this health impact, leading to healthier workforce and lower health costs, which are factors that directly contribute to economic growth. According to a 2020 report by the National Bureau of Economic Research, the economic damage from climate change will reduce global GDP by up to 20% by the end of the century if no action is taken. And let's imagine if economic growth, if the use of fossil fuel can lead to a decline in GDP, total GDP by 20%. If my opponents are up with statistics, do you know what 20% represents of the total economy? If you say that our GDP is declined by 20%, do you know what it represents? So definitely, transitioning to renewable energy is feasible without compromising economic growth. In conclusion, honorable judges and esteemed audience, the transition to renewable energy is not just a necessity for our planet's survival, but it is a strategic economic choice that promises innovation, job creation, economic diversification, and long-term prosperity. The arguments against this transition are rooted in a narrow short-term perspective. That's why they were talking about Ghana. But the argument is not based on Ghana. They are using sustainable development goals. But those goals are not meant for only Ghana. They are general goals. Thank you. So as we look to the future, let's not be constrained by the fears of today. Let's embrace the opportunities that renewable energy represent for the transition from Africa. Thank you.
All right, so we invite the Martin speaker from the project team.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hate and detest, but I love your Lord, says the Lord in Psalm 119. To the ever-wise chair, the bold and impartial panel of judges, the accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, college students, ladies and gentlemen, and all protocols duly observed. Lessons from life has taught me that it is better to be a slave to the truth than being a disciple of the lie. And so I rise strongly to teach the disciples the right way to follow. Mr. Chair, if you had focused a minute on me during your presentation, you could have noticed the shock on my face. So representing the School of Natural and Environmental Sciences, I am Gabriel Biante Awa. A supporting speaker against the motion in quote is the transition to clean energy feasible without compromising our economic growth, unquote. Mr. Chair, focusing on their points, I realized as my second speaker said, they were so braggadocious about the importance of clean without focusing on how it is going to affect our economy. They raised points like healthcare. They were talking about healthcare and the importance of clean energy on our health. They also raised a point using the Akosimoda as a blessing or a curse. Mr. Chair, I would like to state clearly that I believe our opponents didn't study the motion that was being given to us critically. Mr. Chair, they mentioned about investment in clean energy. I don't know if they would want to argue what the International Renewable Energy Agency released, that developing countries are going to invest approximately $70 billion annually to achieve a universal energy, clean energy. The Chair, I want us to have a look at the picture that is being projected here.
Yeah, wait. What's a picture?
Waiting for the pictures to be projected, they again talked about job creation. The Chair, I was so shocked when they said that, because for a lay Ghanaian woman who is into charcoal business, and you are talking about job creation, let us look at the number of people who are into charcoal business, and we are talking about job creation. They have to adjust themselves, they have to update and upgrade themselves to meet the clean energy. And so, is it going to be a job loss for them, or is it going to be a job gain for them? The Chair, you believe that all our existing industries, all our existing infrastructures are built in line with fossil fuel. And so if we are going to transit into clean energy, there is a need for us to upgrade. And then there lies the case we are what we call market uncertainty. Because even the clean energy project that is ongoing, there is going to be market uncertainty. Because there is going to be fluctuations in prices and policies, and businesses and investors have to adjust themselves to be able to navigate the shifting landscape. The Chair, they also talk about the SDGs. Wow, my opponents, we didn't talk about Ghana alone. We're talking generally. You talked about Costa Rica. You use them as an example. And they talked about investments in technologies. If I may ask, the solar panel we are using, have we ever considered the production of the solar panel? Even the production of the solar panel is unclean because they have to burn fossil fuels before they will produce that solar panel. They check the house. The line has been drawn and our assertions are clear. Thank you.
Follow no road. Thank you very much. I think it's time for closing arguments. We invite the opposing to the affirmatives to provide their closing arguments.
It doesn't take noise making to state a fact. turning red. Why? So join me as I ask our brother here why he was lying to us. Mr. Chairman, panel of judges, timekeeper, distinguished guests, fellow students, fellow leaders, ladies and gentlemen. The motion entered before the House remains. Is the transition to clean energy feasible without compromising economic growth? And the opposition have made a lot of noise. Thank you very much. Too bad. I can imagine how comfortable you felt. I didn't like that. But obviously, they failed to make any arguments. On the other hand, we, as the affirmative team for the motion, have made very tangible arguments and provided substantive evidence to support our claims. We highlighted that transitioning to clean energy creates jobs and increases employment rates, improving the lives of the people and increasing economic growth in the countries in which they find themselves. We also mentioned that renewable or clean energy sources reduce healthcare costs as they prevent pollution caused by the emission of greenhouse gas and the resultant health complications that comes along with them. Furthermore, we've made it known to the House that since everyone is making a conscious effort towards mitigating the negative impacts of climate change, everyone is advised and encouraged to patronize items that produce no greenhouse gas, and hence it forces manufacturers or producers to invest more in clean energy technologies and produce more of clean energy products in order to bringing out the best of them and increasing their productivity that increases economic growth. We also mentioned that renewable energy sources reduces energy costs compared to other fossil fuel-based sources, and then that reduces the amount of money that is used in the generation of energy for use by individuals and industries. Now, if you analyze this logically, this is the conclusion you arrive at. The use of clean energy fosters economic growth. And so, standing on existing protocols, I declare and concur that the transition to clean energy indeed is feasible without compromising.
We kindly invite the closing argument from the
The chair, impartial panel of judges, accurate timekeepers, students, fellow co-debaters, ladies and gentlemen.
Distinguished guests.
In conclusion, transition to clean energy is not feasible without compromising economic growth. And my colleagues and I have been here to explain into details why this is so. And in case you have forgotten, especially my opponent, let me refresh your memory.
Easy on them. And I have been here to explain to you on this point. Point number 1, initial cost or capital investment. Point number 2, job displacement and economic disruption. Point number 3, energy reliability and infrastructure challenges. Point number 5, technological and scale gap. Point number 6, public resistance to clean energy. Point number 7, long-term sustainability challenge. Point number 8, stranded assets. Point number 10, infrastructure construction. Point number 11, market uncertainty. Point number 11, transition will lead to higher energy costs. Point number 12, high cost of training new workers. And point number 13, channeling funds from critical sectors, like you mentioned, agriculture sector and so on. My opponent
compromise our economic growth. So I believe that after educating you all on this issue, all of you are now convinced and support our stand why we are
Follow the road
without compromising economic growth. Thank you.
Follow no road. We love you.
Whilst we wait for this to deliberate on the issues raised, we would like to invite the Vice Chancellor to give us his remarks.
That's why he was laughing.
This is Samush. Panel of judges, accurate timekeeper. What else did they say? Partial judges. Co-debaters.